Okay, so today's class is really looking at the legs, hips, knees, ankles, a little bit of ab work if you've got time at the end. It's looking at the myofascial trains, which is just the lines of connectivity through the fascial system. I prefer the word myofascial slings, that gives you a better idea. If you were to put your hand on the top of your chest, keep your chin slightly pulled in. If you just gently lift your head and pull down with your hand, you can feel the connectivity through the fascial system, through the chest muscles, up into the neck, into the face. So that's one of the myofascial slings. It's a nice little chest stretch if you've been sat at the computer for too long. If you take your hand out to the side and you're just going to stretch into your fingers and you just turn your head away and then turn your nose down towards your armpit, you can feel the myofascial sling through the arms into the neck. So you can sort of isolate these lines of connectivity. And so they've all got names and they're all quite well known. So just the two examples. We could do the other side just so we feel the same. Stretch into the fingers and you're turning your nose away and into the armpit. You should be feeling it from the fingers, through the arms, up into the neck. Couple more. So again, you know, when we're using the computer quite a lot, we're using our fingers, lots of micro movements with the fingers. That's going to fire up muscles in the back of the shoulders. It's going to tighten up the neck as well. So things to look at. So let's just do a vagal release. Let's do a really quick one. Just hold the chin and take your fingers up to right hand. So that for me, that's 2 o'clock in the clocking that's in front of us. And you're going to look at the 2 o'clock position. You're going to wiggle the fingers. The wiggling of the fingers is just to keep you focused, because when you do this, your eyes want to look around and you want to keep your eyes at that 2 o'clock position. Strong stretch in the eyes. I've got my yawn at the back of the throat. So it's feeling just like a yawn is starting. Maybe there's more saliva in the mouth. Maybe you do get a nice big sigh or full yawn. Depends how out of balance you are in the nervous system. So this regulates your nervous system. And then just close your eyes for a minute, take the hand down, switch over. So you hold your chin to keep your skull in center. You put your fingers at 10 o'clock and without moving the skull, you're looking at the 10 o'clock position. You're wiggling the fingers if you're like me, and you get easily distracted and you find it hard to keep your eyes in that one place. So the eyes are used to moving around all the time, so they don't quite like being forced to look at an extreme uncomfortable range for a long time. So there's my swallow. And you're holding the chin because the head will want to turn towards the fingers. And that's about 30 seconds. Close the eyes and just roll the shoulders. Just as an assessment after that, you're just moving your nose right to left. Doing a few shoulder rolls, just checking in with the shoulder girdle. So we're going to come to the legs, and we're just trying to, maybe you already know which is your dominant side, which is your weak side. So we're looking at glute medius, the middle-sized glute muscles at the back of the pelvis that hold your pelvis steady. So a good way to check if you're not sure is just to lift one knee. So the leg that you're standing on, that's the side that glute medius is contracting and stabilizing the hip and the pelvis. And just assess how easy does that feel. And then change sides. So for me, straight away, this is a challenge. My ankle is wobbling around like crazy. I feel very unstable. I feel quite weak. So this is my weak side. So if you've got hip issues, if you've got SI joint issues, you need to strengthen up the weaker side so that the tired, overworked side can start to relax and come back into balance. So in the weak side, that side of the pelvis is going to be hiking up because the glute medius is not doing what it should do. So I'm going to stand on my mat because that means you can see my feet a little bit easier. And we're going to just start by turning our right toe outwards. Don't bend your knee. If you put your hands just at the front of your pelvis, so you've got where the pockets in your jeans would be, if you put your fingers here, as you turn out, you can feel tensor fasciae lata, TFL, bunching up and contracting. So that's a very important muscle as well. So that muscle's at the front of the hip. working with the glute medius to hold the hip and the pelvis steady in walking. And the TFL is connected to the iliotibial band, so the outer band and the outer quad. So through the myofascial slings that we're talking about. So just keep turning it out and you'll feel a contraction in TFL. You'll also, if you notice, you might feel your iliotibial band and your outer quad. So we're really strengthening up vastus lateralis, which is the outside quad of the four quadriceps. And again, so you're doing about 10. So you're externally rotating your femur, your leg bone, your upper leg. And you should be starting to feel glute medius, TFL, outer quad. So now do the opposite. Let's take my feet a little bit wider. You're turning the toe in. So as you turn the toe in, you'll feel vastus medialis, your inner quadricep. So glute medius and vastus medialis are two muscles that get weaker with each decade as we get older. And so that we start to lose stability in the hips and the pelvis, stability in the knees. So you're doing 10 and try and feel the muscle contract as you turn the foot in. Feel the femur turning into the cup of the hip. So the head of the femur is massaging the inside of the cup of the hip. And again, you feel that nice stretch. So the more we mobilize into the full range of our hips, the more healthy the membranes on the inside of the hip are, and the less likely you are to get degradation and need to have hip replacement. Keeps it all nicely oxygenated and nice and healthy. So if you stop for a minute now, close your eyes, you should feel a little bit different from right hip to left hip. So just the brain, it's just an assessment. And then we're going to change and we're going to go to the left leg and we're coming to just feet slightly apart and we're just going to turn out. So find the width of your feet that feels comfortable, turning out. And again, you put your hand where your jeans pocket would be and you just feel TFL contracting. And if you've got your fingers at the front and your thumb at the back, you can feel your glute medius contracting as well. You feel your outer quad contracting. So try and find the muscles in your brain. And maybe if you're on your dominant leg, you're feeling it quite strongly and quite quickly, whereas on the other side, you might not have been very sure about what the feedback was. So these are things we're trying to correct. So very important muscles, because 70% of the time we've only got one foot on the floor if we're upright or if we're walking. So if one of those muscles are one side of the body is weaker, then that means the pelvis is hiking up every time you're going on to the wrong side, the weaker side, and then that's going to affect your back, your hips, your knees, even your ankles. So it's about 10. And then you're turning the foot in. So I'm going to step a little bit wider for that, just to give myself a bit of room. Turning in. You're trying to find your inner quad. A little bit adductors. So about halfway down is your adductors, and then halfway up from the knee is your inner quad. And again. And again. So really important is that massage on the inside of the hip. I think the word is acetabulum or something, but it's a word I can never say. Just I've got a bit of a brain block on the word, so it's the cup of the hip. So I'm really starting to feel this muscle now because I am quite dominant in this leg and I'm quite tight in the adductors and the inner quad on this side. So these are places that you would maybe go with a ball to do some trigger point work. If you've got knee pain, if you've got pain at the front of your knee, it's going to be your rectus femoris. It's going to be your middle quad. So you'd find the triggers here. If you've got pain on the outside of the knee, it's going to be the outer quad. If you've got pain on the inside of the knee, it's going to be the inner quad. So you'd look for the triggers here, here or along the front. So look at where the pain is. So if you get a sharp stab at the front of the knee, that's your rectus femoris. If you've got something going on the outside, outer quad, something on the inside, inner quad. So nice and simple, and just find the trigger points. So we're going to grab a ball. If you haven't got a ball, you would just fold up a pillow and you put the pillow between the knees. It wants to be above the knees, not at the knees. And then you're going to get your band. I had to go and look for a scarf. If you haven't got a band, you've got to find a scarf that's got a little bit of give in it. Okay, and that way it will absorb some of the movement. So you're going to use your band. If you've got a band, you're going to go just about a third of the way up, so away from the ball, otherwise it's going to keep hitting the ball. And then you're going to tie the band in a bow at the width of whatever your thighs are with the ball there. If you tie it in a bow, it makes it easy to undo. Toes pointing forward and not turned out. Okay. Again, if you look at your feet, your toes are turned out. You've got muscles that are tight on the outside. If they're turned in, muscles are tight on the inside. So you should be able to keep your feet in parallel. And we're just going to hinge at the hip. And we're going to just gently squeeze the ball. And you want to feel a little bit of tension in the band. So the band is there to give your brain feedback from glute medius. So as you've got that little bit of tension in the band, your brain can find glute medius and outer quads. And as you come up, you're going to squeeze the ball to find your inner quads and your adductors, pelvic floor. So just small range. You don't want to go so deep that it irritates the knees. And if you wanted to be really, really sort of purist about this, as you come up, try and clench your glutes. You're really using your glutes to come out of it. So you stretch your glutes, you clench it, you come up. So when you're thinking of clenching, you're really focusing on glute maximus. They're all working. We've got 9 gluteal muscles. We know the 3 big ones. And they just contract and squeeze. Really lovely exercise to keep you nice and strong in the hips, in the pelvis, in the glutes. So how about we go into a sort of a half squat position and then just go up and down in a small range. And you want to keep the tension in the band, the squeeze on the knees, but not too much squeeze, otherwise your hip flexors will start to over tighten. And then come up. It's a really quick way to turn on your glutes. So half squat, little partial moves. Make sure your knees are not irritated. So it's not big up and down, it's really small. About 5 and then squeeze and come up. Going into it, up and down. So these are called partials. You're working in a very small range. You're really asking the muscles to hold and to work at the same time. Squeeze, so by now your bottom should be waking up, TFL is waking up. So again, little tiny partials. 3 and 4 and 5, and that's probably as many as I'd want to do because my bottom's really complaining now. So take the ball away. Take the band towards the ankles. And at this point, you might just want to turn sideways and put your hand on a chair or the wall. You're going to take your outside leg, whichever leg you choose. This is my weak leg, so I'm starting with the weak side, out to the side, and then slightly back, not too far. So just slightly behind the line of my shoulder and hip. And toe turn down, and just do some little gentle lifts. So with the band, this is really killer. If it's too much, take the foot out of the band and just do it without the band. So for me, I've decided I'm going to do 10 to 15 on my weak side with the band. But I'm only going to do 10 on the strong side, and I'm going to step out of the band to do the strong side. So we don't want to increase that imbalance. So I know that I'm very strong and tired on this side. So I'm going to step out of the band at this point. I don't need to work this side. I'm going to take it to the side, slightly behind the line of my hip and shoulder, toe turned down, standing knee soft. Just do 10. And the good thing now is because I started on my weak side, my weak leg is having to stabilise the hip and the pelvis as I lift this leg off the floor. So it's getting a double workout, if that makes sense. So it's really good if you can figure out which side is your strong side, which side is your weak side. So 10 of these is enough. We want to keep working that strong side, but not making it work too hard. So we want to keep a semblance of balance. That's about 10. Now my bottom is like on fire. The good thing is I can feel this side in the brain, which usually I can't. So that means by working these muscles, the brain has made the circuit and is connected. Just do some wider squats without the band and just feel the bottom muscles stretch and then come back up. So just do it really low intensity, low effort. Couple more. So it's just a nice stretch, gentle. Last one. So another exercise that's really good for the hips is the hinge. So you've got your feet just slightly apart, your knees are soft, you're going to hinge at the hip, feel the stretch in your hamstrings, the muscles at the back of your legs, and then you're going to lift your head and come back up. So jab your fingers at the front of the pelvis where the legs come into the pelvis, you hinge there, you're in a neutral spine. So you don't want to take your nose towards your knees, you want to keep a nice long flat back and then use your glutes, contract your glutes to come back up. So you're hinging. Feel the stretch in your hamstrings. Use your glutes to come back up. So a really good picture is think belly button to floor and long, long spine, stretching out through the crown of your head. So you're keeping it in the hips, you're keeping it in the glutes, you don't want it to jump past the hips into the back. So it's a lovely, dynamic, moving stretch for the hamstrings. So you often tighten up in reaction to over tight, locked up quads. Hip flexors. One more. So we're going to do, we're going to just do the basic hinge. So it's one of the main functional movements that we do just to keep our body nice and healthy. I'm getting hot in here. So squats, anything squats and legs, you're going to get quite warm because you're using the big muscles. So coming back to the knees. So you're going to take your ball or your rolled up pillow and you're going to put it at the back of your knee. So when you do trigger point work, you never go into the back of the knee, but for this sort of work, you're using something really soft, so that's fine. And you're going to put your hands, you can make a fist with your hands and lock your arms just to give your back a bit of support. And you're just going to press your knee down into the pillow. And as you do that, feel like you're pulling your hip bones, your ASIS, pulling them closer together. So it's a bit like that aeroplane seatbelt that pulls you in. So you're going to push down into the ball, pull your toes towards your knees, so you're flexing, and deepen your abs and feel like your hips are pulling together. So it's a really nice core exercise as well. Pushing down. So these are exercises that people do when they've had knee replacement to build up their quads that support their knee. So you're pushing down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, releasing. Pushing down, so very gentle but very effective and very safe. And again, and you can also make this a little bit more effective if you can manage it. Is as you flex the toe to the knee, feel like you're pulling your quads upwards as well. So you're really making that brain connection to your quadriceps. Cinch the hips in, tighten the belts. One more. I think that was probably about 8. So then you do it with the foot turned out, and now you're feeling that inner thigh. 1, 2, 3. And again. Oh, it's the outer thigh. I got it wrong. Outer thigh. 1, 2, 3. You're really pulling the hips in. 1, 2, 3. So just like we did when we were standing up. But you're using the press of the ball just to get a little bit more activation in the muscles. The stronger and more balanced your quadriceps are, the happier your knees will be, and the more likely they'll be to be tracking in the right direction, sort of facing forward, not turning in, not turning out. And again. Okay, so then we try turning the foot in, so that's the inner quad. Pressing into the pillow or the ball, 1, 2, 3, and relax. Pressing in and pull the hips in, pull the ASIS, the fronts of the pelvis in. So that's your transversus abdominis, your low ones below the belly button. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So if you know that you're weak on vastus medialis, which is the one that's most likely to be weak, you would do more on the inturned foot rather than the outturned or the foot to the ceiling. Try the other side. Make a fist with your hands and lock your elbows so that your spine has got a little bit of help sitting upright. You pull your toes to your knee and you're pressing down and you're tightening that seat belt across the hips, across the pelvis. 1, 2, 3, and relax. 1, 2, 3, and if you've got a good brain connection, you're trying to pull your quadriceps up towards your pelvis. 1, 2, 3, so that's your middle quad. 1, 2, 3, so I can feel my abs are working nicely in this exercise. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So then you're turning outwards. 1, 2, 3, outer quad, iliotibial band, TFL. 1, 2, 3. So maybe you do these while you're watching telly. Maybe you're doing them if you've got knee pain. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I can feel with my dominant leg that 5 of those is plenty. Turning in. 1, 2, 3. The internally rotated femur in the hip. 1, 2, 3. So it's going to fire up that myofascial sling and the muscles. 1, 2, 3. And again, I don't want to do any more than 5 of these, but on my weaker side, I would choose to do 10. 1, 2, 3. And while we're doing this, we're getting a good workout in our abs, our low back. 1, 2, 3. Last one. 1, 2, 3. Glad to finish that one now. So we're going to come to put the pillow on the floor. Come to lying down on your back. And we're going to really work on the myofascial slings of the hips. Whoops. So this is a Feldenkrais movement. So it's really lovely for the slings of connectivity around the legs. So you've got the feet at hip space. You've got a little bit of a space in the small of the back. Hold your pelvis with your hands and just very slowly, very gently, just let your right knee fall out to the side and just go as far as you can go with the bones of your pelvis perfectly still. And then use your abs a little bit to bring the knee back up. So we start very gentle and we add on. So you let the knee fall away. We'll do 5 of each of these movements. Just as a sort of a tip, as you let your knee fall out, at the point that your pelvis wants to start to move, you'll feel your lumbar spine, the spine between the ribs and the pelvis, just start to pull off to the left side slightly. So at that point you stop, because you can feel the body starting to react to the load. So it's a great way of just keeping things really strict. So this is 4. This is 5. So Feldenkrais is repetitive. It's mid-range, 60 to 65% range. It's nice and slow. It's connected to the breath. So let's let the knee now fall out to the point where you feel your pelvis is steady, but then you're going to use your abs and you're going to slide down on the side of the foot until your leg fully extends. So that's going to give you quite a hip stretch. Then you're going to let the knee bend to the side and you're going to slide up on the side of the foot, and then you're going to bring the knee back to the ceiling. So as much as possible, you're trying to keep the bones of your torso completely still, so that you keep the work in the legs and the hip and don't allow the upper body to absorb some of that work. So knee turns out, you come up on the side of the foot, you bring the knee back to the ceiling, knee falls out, sliding down, so I can feel my glutes, I can feel my hip flexors, I can feel just the bone of the leg in the hip socket, really getting a good workout. You'll be working your upper leg muscles and your lower leg muscles, the muscles around the ankle. So this is the 5th one. So then we add on again. You're going to let the knee fall out. You slide down on the outside of the foot. You fully extend the leg, and then you turn your knee, right knee, in towards your inside of your left knee. You let the knees touch, and then you go down. You roll the knee outwards, you come up on the side of the foot, you come back into your start position. So the knee falls out, slides down, the bones of your torso perfectly still, extend the leg, turn the knee in, internal rotation, touch the left knee, and then sliding down. So lots of muscles working here, sliding out with the knee turned to the side, start position. We've got one more, the knee falls out, slide down on the outside of the foot, extend the leg, turn the knee inwards, turn the femur in, and touch the left knee, come down, turn the knee out, start position. One more add-on, so we're going to make it a sort of a circular movement. The knee falls out, you slide down on the outside of the foot, you fully extend the leg, you turn the knee inwards to touch the left knee, but then you continue to come up until your knee is facing the ceiling and you're in the start position. So then the knee touches the left knee, you go down on the big toe, you roll out onto the outside of the foot, and you come up with the knee turned out to the side, and you come back to start position. Knee falls out, sliding down. Fully extend the leg, knee turns in, come all the way up, touch the left knee, and then come up to your start position, knee falls in. So if you have got tight hips, if you have got SI joint pain or back pain, this is a really good exercise to do, just to really wake up these stabilisation muscles so that the pain will start to subside as things come into balance. Turning in. And you do 5 of each, and that, you know, it's going to take you a sort of 5 minutes to do both legs probably. I think we've got one more to go. I can feel my low abs, transversus abdominis. I can feel my glutes are working really hard. And my hip flexors, they're actually feeling a little bit more relaxed because they're being allowed to turn off because we're activating the stabilisation muscles, the muscles that work with them to stabilise the hip. So come back into centre and maybe just bring that knee in for a minute and just give yourself a little bit of a moment, let the glutes stretch out. And then take the foot down. So I'm going to, you stay as you are, I'm going to change ends, otherwise you won't be able to see what's going on the far side. So you've got the feet at hip space, you've got a nice level pelvis, you're steadying the pelvis with the hands, a little bit of space in the back, and you start really gentle, you're letting the left knee fall out, and really do it slowly and pick up on when the pelvis starts to shift or when the lumbar spine starts to pull away to the right, and then come back up using a little bit of your abs. So you're falling out. So as soon as you notice the pelvis shifting, the lumbar spine trying to pull to the right, you stop, use a little bit of your low abs, pelvic floor muscles pulling up to bring the leg back in. Leg falls out. Really focus on how the body reacts to that load and then come back in. So I'm on my weaker side. The weaker side is the side that's not moving. The side that's stabilizing is the side that's not moving. As I'm doing this, my right thigh is wobbling because the glute medius on this side is not as strong. The rotators are not as strong. So they're really having to work hard to hold my pelvis level. That's why you do it slowly and you really focus. And I can feel I'm really tight in the groin on this side, in the thigh muscles, because this is the tired side. So it might not be the case for you, but just think about what's tight, what's reacting. So then we add on, the knee falls out, the pelvis stays perfectly still. And now a little bit of abs to help you as you slide down on the outside of the foot. You fully extend the leg and let the kneecap roll up to face the ceiling. And then the knee turns out, you come onto the side of the foot. Strong abs to bring the leg back in. So anything where you're moving your legs is abdominal work as well. So the knee falls out, pelvis stays steady, slide down on the outside of the foot, turn the knee to the ceiling, rolling outwards again, strong abs to come up on the side of the foot, keep the bones of your torso nice and still. So if you can, you make the movement smaller, you make the movement slower. Going down on the side of the foot, extend the leg, kneecap to ceiling, rolling out to the side of the foot, strong abs to draw the leg back in. So then we add on again, the knee falls out. You slide down on the side of the foot, you go to full extension, and now you roll your knee inwards and your big toe inwards, and you draw the knee, the left knee up to touch the inside of the right knee. And then you go down on the big toe, you roll outwards to the side of the foot, strong abs to bring the leg up with the knee in that turned out position and come back into start position. So the knee falls out, you're sliding down on the side of the foot, you're rolling the foot and the knee inwards, internally rotate your femur, bring the knee, left knee to right knee, touch, go down on the big toe, fully extend the leg, rolling outwards, come up on the outside of the foot, bring the knee into start position. I can feel that this hip is really tight compared to the other one. It's doing a lot of work. Extend the leg, internally rotate the femur, the leg bone, come all the way up to touch the right knee, gliding down, turning out. So I can feel these muscles are tired, but I'm just doing it nice and slow. So we don't miss it out altogether if you're on a tired side, because you might upset the balance even more by not getting it right. So you still do both sides. Left knee to right knee. This is the last one. You go down, you roll the foot outwards, come up on the outside of the foot, bring the knee into the start position. The final one is the circle. So the knee falls out. You slide down on the outside of the foot. You fully extend the leg. You turn the knee and the big toe inwards. You slide up to touch the right knee, and then you continue up to put the knee pointing to the ceiling and the foot down. Then you let the knee fall inwards to touch the right knee, go down on the big toe, fully extend, turn out to the outside of the foot, come all the way around, don't do it too quickly, make the muscles work, knee to ceiling. So then falling out, extending, turn the knee and the big toe in, come up to the inside of the right knee, and then knee to ceiling, falling in, go down, fully extend, turning out, coming up. So you can see as you do this movement that the slings that go down the legs and wrap around the legs are really going to get a nice stretch and balance. And the slings of the spiral line, they actually they form a loop. They go under the foot and they go down the outside of the leg, under the foot, and come up the inside of the leg. So you're really getting into the spiral line loop. So one last time. There's others as well, but that's the main one that really goes around all the legs. So last time now, falling in, I can really feel this hip is working, stretching, turning out and coming up. And when you finish on this side, just bring the knee in and just give the hip and the glutes a little bit of a stretch. Quite a lot of work there. So now we're going to bring the feet and the knees together. We're going to try this with both legs. If you find it uncomfortable in the back, if you find it too hard, then just do single, do right leg and then do left leg and stay with singles. So level pelvis, space in the small of the back. You're going to let both knees fall out. You're going to slide down on the outside of the foot, fully extend the legs, and then you're going to turn your knees inwards, then you're going to come up, and then you're going to slide down, find your abs, legs are heavy, turn the knees outwards, slide up on the outside of the foot. So you're sliding down on the outside of the foot, turn the knees inwards and come up, strong abs as you bring those legs back to center, sliding down on the big toes, rolling out to the outside of the foot, and you bring the legs into the start position, falling out, go down, extend, turn the knees in, strong abs to bring both legs into center, go down on your big toes, roll the knees outwards, come up on the outside of the foot, bring the knees to the ceiling, so falling out, sliding down, turn the knees inwards, come up, last time, going down, turning outwards and coming up and bring the knees together. So strong ab work and really balancing both hips at the same time. Bring one knee up, just let the glutes relax a little bit, and then bring the other knee up and just give yourself a little bit of a stretch out after that. So quite a lot of work there. Head into knees. Head down and take the feet down 1 and 2. Have your feet at hip space. We're going to do some bridging. So when you do a bridge, you don't use a pillow because you don't want your head being pushed forward. If your head has got a long way to go to reach the floor, you can use just the sort of edge of the pillow to give the head some support, not the fat part in the middle, but just the front edge, just to make sure your neck feels fairly comfortable and relaxed. So feet at hip space, and you're going to draw your knees together. So we've got internally rotated femurs again, and we're going to just lift and lower. So you'll feel that middle quadricep, vastus medialis, you'll feel your inner thighs, your adductors, you'll feel your pelvic floor, you'll feel transversus abdominis, your low abs, a little bit low back as well. Do it nice and slow. Get a sense of, as you lift up, pull up through the pelvic floor, pull the belly button towards the back of the low rib cage. So you're using your powerhouse. So like I say, of the 4 quadriceps, we've got the one in the middle, we've got one on the outside, one on the inside, and then we've got one that's even deeper than the one in the middle. So we've got 4 quadriceps. It's the inner one that tends to get weaker, and then that starts to lead us into knee problems and ankle problems, then hip problems, all as a reaction to having very unstable knees. So if you wanted to go a little bit stronger, you could grab your pillow or your ball, have your feet a little bit wider, and lift and squeeze, and come back down. Lift and squeeze. So this is really going to fire up the glutes. Any bridge is going to work your glutes, your hamstrings, your low back. So it's a really good exercise for keeping the back of the body nice and strong. Our glutes should be the strongest muscles in the body. So glutes are very important for hip stabilization, for walking, and for stabilizing the low back. So if you wanted to go a little bit stronger, take your elbows off the floor because you're using your elbows to make it a little bit easier. Make sure you're doing it slowly and rhythmically. You're not over squeezing the ball. I'm squeezing the ball about 10%, just enough to connect with what is called the deep core line, the inner thighs, the inner quads, the pelvic floor, the low abs. So it's the lower part of your core. Last one. If you squeeze too much, you're going to find that the front of your hips gets over tight. So let's take the ball now under the left foot. Let's do a breathing exercise just to make sure that we stay nicely centered in our nervous system. We're not jumping too much into the right side. So we're going to put the right hand, stretch the right hand towards the ceiling, left hand in the waist. You've got the foot on the ball, just to really make the brain very aware of what's going on this left side. Try and find the instep of your right foot. So there's lots to think about here. You're going to reach into the right arm and breathe in through the nose into the right side of your rib cage for 5. You're going to hold your breath, but as you're holding your breath for 5, gently push down into the ball and see if you can still find the instep on the right foot. And then you're going to imagine you're blowing up the balloon and you're going to slightly drag the ball towards the sit bone, and you're looking for tightening in the left side of your waist. So that would be your obliques, your psoas, iliopsoas, abdominal muscles, and then relax. So we do that again. Breathe in through the nose, breathe into the right side of the rib cage. Try and find the instep on the right foot. Hold the breath for 5, gently pushing into the ball. It's not a huge effort, it's just slight pushing down. Hold the breath for 5, blow up the balloon, and you'll feel like you're pushing down and slightly dragging toward your sit bone until you feel the muscles contracting in the left side of your abdomen. Relax, get a rest in between. Stretch and reach right arm, breathe into right side of rib cage. Hold the breath for 5 and just pushing into the ball gently. Find the instep on the right foot. Blow up the balloon and you're dragging the heel, left heel upwards. Feel the contraction through the left side muscles in your abdomen. Relaxing 2 more times. Breathe into the right hand, right side rib cage for 5. So this is a vagal release. It's a balancing, regulating exercise for your nervous system. Hold the breath, push into the ball, find your right instep, blow up the balloon, push into the ball and slightly drag upwards, blowing up the balloon. Relaxing. So last one, breathe in through the nose and reach through the right arm, right side rib cage. Hold the breath. You're trying to find the right instep, pushing into the ball. Blow up the balloon and slightly dragging the ball upwards as you blow up the balloon. And relax. So that brings your brain out of right-sided brain dominance into centered, and right body dominance into centered, and you should feel very awake through that left side. So that means you're much more balanced in your body. I'm going to take the foot away. I've just looked out the window, it's raining again. I've got my washing out, never mind. So pull the shins into the ribs, bring the head into the knees, stretch the spine, take a breath. So I'm just seeing if there's anything I haven't done. There's one more. So take the feet to the floor. Nice level pelvis, space in the small of the back, and just floating the right knee, floating the left knee. Right foot down, left foot down. We'll just do a few of these. We're pretty awake already in our pelvis. Right, left knee up, right knee up, left foot down, right foot down. Do that one more time. Right knee up, left knee up, left foot down, right foot down, left knee up, right knee up, left foot down, right foot down. So a level pelvis. And now we're going to float the right knee, float the left knee, keep the pelvis steady and just slowly lower the right foot towards the floor. So that's a hip hinge and come back up. Lower the left foot towards the floor. Make sure the bones of your torso don't react. Right knee down. And come back up. Left knee down. So if you can do that fairly competently, see if you can take your right heel to the floor. If your back starts to arch away from the floor, so that will be your lumbar spine, the gap between the ribs and the hips, then don't go to the floor, just go to whatever range you can control. Left heel down. I feel my abs are working nicely. Left heel down. So if you can do that competently, feet together, strong abs, pull up through the pelvic floor in front of the belly button. Maybe you can take both toes towards the floor. For me, I can feel my spine pulling away from the floor, so I'm not going to reach the floor and come back up. So just work in whatever range you can control and keep your spine perfectly neutral. Feel like you're knitted together through the ribs and the pelvis in the front. You're not opening the space between the ribs and the hips. Everything is cinched in and controlled. And now I can reach the floor. My brain has figured out how to stay in neutral spine and reach the floor. And you could maybe switch to heels if you still want to make it a little bit harder. So once again, I can't reach the floor now because my back is pulling away from the floor. Keep the ribs knitted to the hips. And that one, I reach the floor. Last one. So this time, as the feet land, just relax with the feet on the floor. Take the feet to the edge of the mat and just roll your knees. So this is another one that really shows you the myofascial slings. You can feel the connectivity comes around the ribs, crosses over around the hips, down into the legs. You can take your hands above your head, and then you'll feel the sling in the rib cage a little bit more. So this is your spiral line sling. It's a nice exercise to balance the hip flexors. So then you're going over to the left side and you're bouncing the right knee. We're not going to do it for very long. We're just going to do about 10 bounces just to relax things a little bit. And then slowly come up and roll the knees to the right. You're bouncing the left knee. About 10, and then slowly coming back up into center. So bring the hands back into center, and we'll keep our knees and ankles together. We'll roll sideways. We'll come up into sitting, pouring down here. Oh my goodness. Funny weather. So let's come into sitting in the diamond position. We're going to grab our band again. Put the band or the scarf above the knees, about a third of the way up from the knees. Put the hands at the side of you, and you could make a fist and just support yourself, soles of the feet and toes together, and just do a little bit of gentle bouncing. So you're moving the femurs in the hip, you're activating the glutes, the rotators at the back of the pelvis. There's quite a lot of work here. Okay, and then you're going to pull up through the pelvic floor. Feel like you're pulling your ASIS, the front of your pelvis, pulling the low hips together and with the abs, and draw the knees together. So put the feet together like this. So the knees fall out. 5 bounces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then pull up through the pelvic floor, strong abs, and draw the knees together. So again, bouncing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, strong abs, draw the knees together. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, strong abs, draw the knees together. So abs below the belly button. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, strong abs, and draw the knees together. Well done. So let's just, we'll bring the soles of the feet together. Keep the band there, because the band is just telling us what glute med is doing. And we're just going to come up and over into a mermaid. and come back into center. And then if you're getting cramp, I'm getting cramp in my calf at the moment, so you could put your feet like this or your soles of your feet together. So up and over. So you can feel the spiral line in this exercise. You can feel the spiral line in the rib cage, in the upper body. Up and over. Up and over. And again. So how about we bring in a little bit of a spiral? We're going to come up and over, and then we're going to look down, and we're going to touch just next to the hand on the floor. Come back up and over. We're going to come into mermaid, and then we're going to spiral our rib cage, our nose, our head, and just touching the floor. And I can feel I'm tighter in this side of the body. So we're coming up and over. We're turning our head, we're spiraling through the rib cage, and you're seeing how close can you get to the hand on the floor. Up and over, so keep the tension in the band around the knees, up and over, turn the head, spiral through the rib cage line, quite a long way away from the hand on this side. I don't know if you can see, and on the other side, I'm fairly close. So that shows that one side of my body is reacting to what's going on in the hips, in the knees, in the ankles, in the pelvis. So if we've got a weakness on one side, a dominance in the other side, that's going to affect that whole side of the body. Last time. 1, 2, 3, coming up and over. Last time, coming up and over. 1, 2, 3. So that's a spiraling mermaid. So then let's turn long ways, keep the band at the knees. We could hold the ball. If you've got a ball, hold the ball. If it's a pillow, then do it without the pillow. And we're just going to gently squeeze the ball. We're going to tuck under, and we're going to do a half roll back. We're going to come back into center, drop the head, and reach the ball forward. Try and keep some tension in the band so that our brain is talking to glute medius. Half roll back. Come through center, drop the head, reaching forward. Come back to center, half roll back, squeeze with the palms. Maybe as we come into center, we stretch up, we look up. We come down, we stretch forward, we round forward. We stretch up, we look up, we roll. Coming into center, stretch up, look up. Rounding forward, reaching forward, pull the belly under the ribs. Stretch up to the ceiling, look up. See if you can roll away with the ball slightly overhead, a little bit harder. Stretching up, looking up, gets the back working. Rounding forward. Last one, stretching up, looking up. Keep the tension in the band, rolling away, coming all the way up, looking up, and rounding forward and stretching forward and rolling up in center. Lovely. I'll turn to face the camera for this one so you can see. Keep the tension in the band, so glute medius is still working. We're going to do a half roll back, and as we do, we're going to open the hands and then feel like you're squeezing to come back into center. And then link the fingers, look up, stretch up, come back down. So as you roll away, the arms open, and the arms are heavy, so that's loading up the abs. And then press, squeeze, link the fingers, stretch up, look up. Be lifting up out of your pelvis. Come down. Rolling away, opening. Press together. Link the fingers, stretch up. I'm really becoming aware of glute medius in this one. Coming down, last one, because of the band. Opening, squeeze and press, stretching up, looking up, and come back down. Well done. So maybe at this point we take the band away, hey, because my glutes are saying they've worked hard enough. Thank you very much. So we're going to finish with hugging the tree. You can Put the feet together in the diamond legs, or if you're comfortable with cross-sitting, you can sit in cross-legged. So we're going to take the hands above the head, and you're going to press down, and you're going to turn your head to look to the left. And then you're going to stretch the hands overhead, look forward. You're going to turn the palms, press down, look to the right. So quite a bit of ab work while your hips are stretching. Hands together. So press down the palms, facing down, look left. Look forward, hands together. Last time, palms down, pressing down, looking to the right, coming together and looking forward. Put the hands at the back of your knees, front of your knees. Tuck your ribs under and roll backwards. So your body's going into a C curve and you're pulling against the legs for support. And then you're going to lift your head, lift your heart. So you're rounding away, pull the belly under the ribs, lifting the head, lifting the heart. A little bit harder is to take the hands away, hug the tree as you round away, and then lift the head and the heart, opening through the arms and the chest. Breathe out as you hug the tree, pull the belly under the ribs. Breathe in as you open and you lift up. So these hips that we've just worked are working really hard now in this position. Breathe out, pull the belly under the ribs. Breathe in, up stretch. One more. Breathing out, we're nearly there. Pull the belly under the ribs. Breathe in, up stretch. And then just put your hands behind you on the floor, palms down, and then keep your chin slightly pulled in, but just lift your heart, your chest, draw your shoulders back, draw your shoulder blades together, feel the stretch in the chest and the shoulders, and then gently relax and come back into a sort of relaxed position. One more time, pull the chin in to protect the neck, looking up, lift the heart, lift the ribs, draw the shoulders back, squeeze the shoulder blades together, a nice upper body stretch, and then just gently relaxing, coming into center, and you finish. So that was myofascial slings, hips, knees and ankles with a little bit of ab work. My hips have certainly had a nice workout there.